And we are live.
We are live!
I've always wanted to say that.
Say it again.
We're live.
We are live. Welcome to episode 1 of the Boozebrotherstv.
Yes, indeed.
I am the Prophet, and I'm here with my very, very good and the brains of the operation, Mr. Qball.
Yeah, see, that's why the hair is so short and falling out, is because the brain needs extra space.
Mate, I tell you, it's probably just swelling. There's no room for hair follicles in there.
I know,
all
it's terrible.
Cranium, freaking brain in there.
Know.
The brainium.
Curse my genetics.
Oh, you poor bugger. So here on Boozebrotherstv, we're always going to have a special guest. And that special guest, because we are filming in both spots here, that special guest will be in the shape of a bottle.
Well, it's the best guest to have.
It is indeed. And today, I don't know who our special guest is today, but you do.
I do. And let me just clarify that when we reveal the bottle, it's not completely full. It was like that when I got here. I brought the bottle from home. We have not already drunk that much.
So somebody has, but
somebody
not us.
has. Well, it was me.
So from we to me.
But not today.
But not today.
Not today.
Okay,
no.
Because one thing we'd like to also make sure is very clear that we are very, very strong about being responsible in your drinking.
Absolutely.
The Boozebrotherstv is all about quality and appreciating alcohol for what it is, and so no drink driving, no drinking irresponsibly. All right, appreciate.
But if you feel that you must drink irresponsibly, by all means, make prior arrangements. Get a cab, get a friend to give you a lift, or even crash on a mate's couch.
Absolutely. The old swag. Swag
Yes.
it somewhere, without a doubt. And if you're like Geraldton, West Australia here, and you want to call a taxi, no offense to the Geraldton taxi companies, at 2 in the morning, you may wait a little while.
Well, that's a bit of a given almost anywhere.
Okay, there you go.
But still.
I'm usually the skipper, mate, so I'm the responsible one.
Absolutely. You are a very responsible man, David, being a father and all.
Yes, absolutely indeed. Come on, I'm excited. What we got in the bag?
All right.
Hang on, before we open the bag, do I need
I think we're going to need some drinking vessels.
drinking vessels?
So we'll need a couple of glasses and some ice. That's one each. Very responsible.
Very responsible. And, of course, here's some ice I happened to have prepared earlier.
Well, one would hope so.
So,
Unless
cubes.
you're a magician, you're not going to produce ice instantly.
Well, no, this is very true. As cool as I might think I am, I'm not that cool. So, are we having 1 lump or 2, or what? So, what is the rule around? This is always interesting. Putting ice into your glass. Is there like a regulation in like how many cubes you should have? Is it like make it too watery if you put too many in?
Look, you know, some people use large cubes, some people use small cubes, some people use ice balls.
Yes.
The larger the particle of ice, the less it will melt in contact with the alcohol and dilute your drink less.
Right. But what if you want your drink to be diluted?
Then you might use crushed ice.
Crushed ice.
Or even a dash of water.
Absolutely. So,
But for this, I think perhaps 2 lumps.
2 lumps.
Thank you, Vicar.
1 lump or 2. Please excuse fingers. I did wash prior to the show. We
All
have
right.
2 lumps.
I shall reveal. This is a lovely little Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey
Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey.
from George Dickel Distillery. This is their number 8. That's their entry level. Retails for around the $50 mark, depending on where you shop. It may be a little less, it may be a little more.
Tickle my dickle. Have a look at that.
I'm not going to go there just yet.
It wasn't an offer or a request.
I appreciate that nonetheless.
So, may I
By
take
all
the
means,
honors?
you are behind the bar,
Yes.
and that gives you
I am the bar steward of this group here.
the joy of serving. It is a cork bottle, not a screw cap. Some say that that is an indicator of quality, although others may disagree because, let's face it, some tequilas come with a cork.
And yes, very true. And if you're a cheap distiller and you want to make your beverage seem very high class, put a cork in it. Or
Yes.
if you're just being an ass, put a cork in it.
Not to be confused with your butt plug.
Now, okay, so now should we do this with like shot glasses, like proper measures, or are we just going to go open pour?
Oh, just a dash,
Just a dash,
as such.
as such.
A generous dash, perhaps.
A generous dash.
That'll do.
Would that be?
I think that'll be fine.
We picked the perfect day to do a filming of episode 1 when our neighbors have decided to bang the drums.
Obviously, it's a soundtrack to accompany our episode, and
Yes.
we'd like to thank them for that anonymously because I don't know who it is.
Oh, yes, well, the dogs seem to like it. Everything you see that's happening here is going to happen live. I will be swatting flies because they're driving me nuts. Neighbors will be banging on drums. The dogs will be barking. But that's how we roll here on Boozebrotherstv.
We just do these things.
We just do these things.
So if you'll excuse us for a moment, lubricate the tonsils.
Cheers, good sir. And now, before we do that, I want to make sure very clear, because this pisses me off when you cheers somebody. You're supposed to look them in the eyes, which Qball did, which is fine. But every you cheer somebody, you go cheers, and they're looking somewhere else. No, when you cheer somebody, you go cheers.
Cheers.
You
to
look
your
them in
good
the
health,
eyes.
sir.
And to yours. Bottoms up.
I am very fond of this one, I must admit, because for a $50 whiskey, infinitely sippable, on the rocks, and actually quite tolerable neat, which a lot of things in that price range really aren't.
So when it says like sour mash, is that like just like really off potatoes that they made it with, or is this like I don't understand this? I'm a straight Scotch, straight whiskey kind of guy, but what is the sour mash part of this?
Okay, it refers to the mash or the bill, which is basically the combination of grains that they use to as a base for fermentation.
Okay,
I think. I'll be honest.
that's what we think. So, hey, if you know better than we do, please post in the comments at the bottom of this video once it's up on YouTube. Just put your comments there. If you think you know more about what the sour mash part is than the man of all men, the most interesting man in the world himself, Mr. Qball, you tell me a better answer than that one, because I'll believe what he tells me, unless you guys tell me something else.
Well, this is a thing. In time, of course, we will actually be a little more devoted, being our first one, and
Absolutely.
work schedules and leisure schedules. We haven't quite, perhaps, given this for the preparation that we should have.
Who gives a shit?
But that's exactly it. Who gives a shit? We're here to have a bit of fun, and hopefully you guys are actually going to enjoy what we're doing for you. So,
Absolutely. So now, you know, like, I'm not a wine guy. And we'll be very clear, by the way. There would be limited, like, virtually butt-kiss amount of wine drunk on this show. There's a bunch of other guys who take care of that stuff, because I don't do wine.
yes.
But
And that's fair. I mean, I am a wine drinker myself,
Yes.
but I also am a great appreciator of whiskies, which is something that the Prophet and I have in common.
Yes.
So that is what we are going to focus on, whiskey.
yes, and actually, with that, you're the one who actually introduced me, like not to whiskeys and that, but the appreciation of the whiskey, because I used to just buy, you know, whatever, not bad bottle of anything, like a Ballantine's, which is a nice, which we'll probably bring on the show, I'm sure. But you know, your $40 to $60 bottles of scotches or whiskeys, and then you introduced me to some of the finer things about it, and I started to get a different appreciation for the different types of whiskeys and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
the sour
Well, I mean,
mash. This is my very first sour mash, as a matter of fact. So there you go.
As a wise man once said, there's no such thing as bad whiskey. It's just that some are better than others.
Yes, there are.
So-
And there's some of those whiskeys that deserve to have a soft drink or whatever topped into them.
See, now there's another interesting point. Should you drink your whiskey neat? Should you drink it on the rocks with a dash of water, dash of dry, cola, whatever?
We're going to answer all those questions, are we not?
Oh, look, that is really a personal thing. And it's simply how you like to drink your whiskey. Now, obviously, you know, some people would say that it is sacrilege to take something along the lines of a wonderful 12 or 18-year-old smoky whiskey and taint it with a mixer. But if that's what your palate's used to, then do it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, should you drink a red wine cold? No, you shouldn't. But people do. Should you put ice cubes in your glass of white wine? I know plenty of ladies that do. Helps keep the wine cold. Helps dilute it a little. There's nothing wrong with it. Whatever
Stay a
works
little
for
longer.
you.
Yeah. So I tell you, you ever come around to the 5-hole bar here at the Hacienda, and you take a bottle of Coke or something like that out, and you start leaning towards my, 15-year-old or 18-year-old or 12-year-old freaking whiskey or scotch with it, I will beat you over the head with it. Put any of that crap in your mind. Nothing against Coca-Cola. It's not my thing, but don't be putting it in my... Bring your own expensive
Put it in
whiskey.
your own drink by all means, but not in mine unless I ask you to.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Absolutely. So, getting back to the concept of why I brought wine up, actually, is because all these wine knobs Is that what they use? Wine knobbers? What are they, knobs?
Snob, I
Wine
think,
snobs,
is probably
right.
the word
Wine
that you're
snob-
after.
Wine snobs. I apologize to all wine drinkers out there for calling you knobs. I do apologize. It's like Scotch knobbing, is it not the same thing?
Well, look, you can be pretentious in your tasting and appreciation
Right.
of any product, even food.
Yes.
We all know foodies, how much focus they place on preparation and all that sort of things, and presentation, more the point. But at the end of the day, if it tastes good, I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah, just drink it. So, is there a... do we go for like a bouquet, or do we like... is there... smelling
Well-
it too... I really wanted to truly appreciate the sour mash. You know, if I want to get a tickle of the Dickel...
Tickle of the Dickel. You're
Yes.
just loving that expression.
Absolutely. That's a coin here on Boozebrotherstv. It's the tickle of the Dickel. Okay, so if you want to have a little tongue tickle of the Dickel, for those of you who are inclined that way, there's nothing wrong with this, just not my thing. But how would I, am I supposed to just smell it, taste it, roll around? Is there any of that sort of art to having a whiskey?
Some whiskies are very distinct, have a very distinct aroma. Others, there's not much there on the nose. It all depends on how refined your senses are to start with. I'm a smoker, so my taste buds are a little tainted. And it's just how it is. Some things I can smell quite predominantly when I smell a whiskey or a wine. Others I can't. But then again, some of them come through on taste.
Right.
So, and the other interesting thing with that is what you get on the nose is not necessarily what you're going to get on the palate as well.
Right.
A good example of that was the Master Distiller's number 1 edition by Jack Daniels. On the nose, you could smell bananas,
Right.
but there was nothing on the taste buds to sort of confirm that.
To make it appealing.
Yeah. Oh, God. The dad jokes are out already.
Number 1?
As long as I would like to say that they're not going to get any worse, but they probably are.
Yes,
They
yes.
probably are.
I'll probably slip another one in there somewhere else.
You probably will.
I've got a bunch of the banana buns.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm just going to have another drink.
Okay. So what comes out of this? I mean, it's definitely distinctively different to anything I've ever tasted. Like I said, I've never had a sour mash before. So,
Okay, well, it's almost an identical distillation process
yeah, I'll stick to purpose.
bourbon.
You stick to process. Okay, there you go.
to bourbon. Much like Jack Daniels is not a bourbon, the George Dickel is not a bourbon in that the part of the filtration process leaves a residue which is classed as an additive, therefore it is not a bourbon. That's why it's a Tennessee Sour Mash whiskey.
What is the history then of... Give us the history of George. Do you know anything about George Dickel himself?
I don't know very much about George Dickel. One thing I do know
1870, dude.
about the distillery itself, it is one of only 4 distilleries in the United States that only produce their name brand. So that is George Dickel, Woodford Distillers, which make the Woodford Reserve, which is another glorious, glorious whiskey, Jack Daniels, and Maker's Mark. So, for those of you who are wondering why Jim Beam does not fall into that category, is because it makes other products such as Booker Nose, Knob Creek, and a few others. But basically, every other distiller in the US makes multiple brands of whiskey or releases their whiskey under different brand names.
So back in 1870, George Dickel began fulfilling his dream. Of a dream. Okay, of crafting the smoothest Tennessee whiskey around. So that's how it started.
It is rather smooth.
It started with a dream. Like everything in life, it starts with a dream. And good old Dickel,
And just goes to show, you don't need Google to learn things. You can read from a bottle and learn a thing or two.
hang on a second, let me just read some bit more here.
Oh, David, it doesn't work that
It doesn't
way.
work like that. You
Technology is not that great when it comes to whiskey.
Why can't they put interactive labels so we can scroll and make this bigger? And
Well, perhaps you should email them with that suggestion. But bear in mind, in doing that, your $50 bottle of whiskey may suddenly become a $150 bottle of whiskey.
Yes, it may do indeed. And you can see this is quite obviously why I don't drink that much. Because I'm surely an idiot without alcohol.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up.
Well, it's okay. Everything's open slather on this show. There's no... It's all open.
It's all open.
Yeah.
And I am enjoying this, as I said. I mean, obviously, I do enjoy it. I've drunk that much out of it, and truth be told, it is not the first bottle that I've bought.
Right, well, it is certainly the first time I've had it, and to be honest, I mean, certainly, I don't know if I could drink it all night long, because, like, I find it's no different to when you get, like a double black or, like, that really smoky or peaty drinks. I don't mind them, a little bit different, and one or two nice measures, a couple of glasses,
Yeah.
But I think it's a very, it's like strong flavor, but it's certainly powerful enough that, for me, it would be... Like for a couple of drinks, that's it. Bang, beautiful. I'd love to work out what cigar I would have with it, to be honest, because I think it might blend well with a nice cigar. The old mash, I think.
Yeah, because of that sort of, as you said, it's not an overly soft whiskey. There's almost a little bitterness there, but there is a little hint of caramel in the background.
Yeah, it's almost like sweet and sour pork, mate. It's like there's a little bit of sweet and sour in there. Even though it says sour mash, but obviously the whiskey's a little bit sweeter. But
it softens nicely with the temperature dropping, and obviously as the ice is diluting the whiskey a little, makes it a little more sippable. So perhaps if you wanted to try this one off the rocks,
if you want to get your rocks off of your whiskey.
Look, no one's going to hate on you for putting some cola or something in there, or even a dash of water to soften it up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I find, like that when you mix it with, say, like a Coca-Cola, which I don't do mixes, and even just a splash of soda water or something might be.
If you want the bubbles.
Yeah, just if you want a little fizzle in your Dickel.
And this is what happens when he doesn't know what I'm bringing around.
Because I assure you, none of this is prepared because I had no idea. Oh, it's the closest a Dickel's ever got to my mouth. I'll give you the red hot tip.
But tis. He's here all week. Try the wheel.
Yes, tip the waitress.
Tip your waitress, not him.
Yes. Anyway, so well, I think thank you so much for bringing and introducing George Dickel and his dream from 1870. I think he's achieved what he wanted to do.
Look,
I think he can go back to his planet now. 1870, dude must be getting on, I think.
Very much so. Like, your direct comparison for taste and style with this one is, of course, your Jack Daniel's No. 7 or your Jack Daniel's Black Label, if that's easier for you, your standard Jack Daniel's. I personally feel the Dickel is a little softer, a little more pleasant than the Jacks. Your Jacks you definitely drink with a mixer.
Honestly, though, ladies... Do I have to say it? Who wants a soft Dickel? I'm
just really starting to regret this now. And it's only episode 1.
Hey, I'm a firm believer, start as you intend to finish. This is the contradiction of who I am as a person.
Absolutely.
Very serious about the things that are very serious to me, but very unserious about all those other things.
Look, if it's something that you're supposed to gain pleasure from, and let's face it, you should actually gain some pleasure from enjoying a nice whiskey or a spirit of any sort.
Yes.
Which I'm sure we can convince Dave over time to actually try. We're not just going to drink whiskies on this show. We are going to tackle some other spirits.
I'm here to be schooled.
Oh, I'll take you to school.
I'm here for that.
And I'll show you how to pick up girls.
Yeah. Okay. I want to... wow. And you happen to go with me. Come on. I want to broaden my horizons in the sense of expand my taste buds and try some different things. Because, I have been... moving from just plain old, run-of-the-mill scotches and whiskies to obviously a little bit tasting some nice ones, which we will invite to the show.
Yes.
But I would like to get out and sample a few of these things. I'm not a big bourbon fan. I'm not a, but I'm willing to have a go. Or even white spirits.
Obviously, bourbon is the same as with Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
There are varying degrees, varying qualities, and once you start to explore that higher price point, as such, it's the easiest way to put it, you do come across some beautiful, beautiful smooth bourbons that are infinitely drinkable on the rocks, and also neat.
Absolutely. Well, we will explore those in upcoming episodes. But for now, ladies, the only good soft Dickel is a George Dickel.
And if the 8 is not enough, there is a 12 as well, ladies, if you like something a bit bigger and bolder.
When 8 just isn't enough, hey, there's a 12.
The 12,
who says age matters?
We will bring the 12 to the table at some point during this, but just as a heads up on it, it is a lot softer. It is much sweeter with a more caramel and vanilla undertones, which is a bit much for some people because they don't like that super sweetness. But it's not super sweet like you would get from a Moscato if you're a wine drinker. You'll know that one. Sorry, Dave.
It's quite right. So, if we just leave this for 4 years, will this become a 12?
No.
No.
Whiskey does not age in the bottle. Wine ages in the bottle. I'm not entirely sure 100% on how it works.
I do know some things. I was just trying to lead him into that conversation.
We can research a lot of this stuff. You know, obviously, if you post in the comments section anything you would like to know, and we will do our best to explore that in future episodes for you. In other words, I'm going to do the research, he's going to prompt me, and I'm going to answer the questions. Because he's a very busy man. Not that I'm not.
No, but you're far more. You're here for the brains.
Yes.
And the beauty. I have no idea what I'm here for.
Beauty, belly.
Bald. You're all the bees, mate.
Speaking of bees, this has been bugging me because when I got here this afternoon, I couldn't help but notice that's not a bee. It is a brassiere hanging behind the bar here at the Hacienda. That is definitely not a bee cup, and you wouldn't tell me why that was there.
No. Well, I said if you want to bring it up in the show, I would let you know why the bra is hanging here at the 5-hole bar at the Hacienda. Interesting story. Very quickly, we'll finish up on this. I'll put it back where it belongs. So we've just had some...
Well, back where it was.
Well, where it has remained for the last 2 days. We've had some visitors here to the Hacienda from Canada, as a matter of fact, my homeland. And no, true.
Really?
Bajinga Bob Crocker, you'd never known, eh?
No, not at all.
Only Australian who says A. So anyway, the a couple of days back, it was a very hot day here. It was probably Thursday last week. And my wife's mother, who she hasn't seen in 6.5 years, well, neither of us have seen in 6.5 years since we've been here, her mother's best friend and surprise visitor was her cousin, Rachel, who also came over. And the ladies were obviously in the car all the way up here from Perth, which is about a 4.5 hour drive. They got to the Hacienda here, and of course they got here, it was 30-something degrees that day. They'd all bought these pink t-shirts to do little family things because they haven't seen each other in so long. So there they are with that. And they got here, and within about half an hour of being here and then starting to warm up with some beverages to relax and then cool down on this day, all of a sudden, all 3 or 4 plus a couple of the guests who were visiting here, out came the bras, and into our pool they went. With the t-shirt, it was a wet t-shirt competition going on with mature-aged ladies in the pool, and while they did that, I thought, bugger them, I took all their bras and I started hanging them up here. Now, the rest of them came and took them, but Cousin Rach hasn't taken hers. It's still sitting there. So that is why the bra is sitting there.
And on that note, I say, Rachel, thank you.
Yes. God love women who are willing to set their tatas free.
And get them wet.
Yes, absolutely. Not that we condone that sort of behavior in public, but hey, it's yours, do what you wish with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so anyway, hence the bra is now hanging at the 5-hole bar. And one last thing I want to present, so people understand why it's called the 5-hole bar here. These bad boys, which you can see, probably easier to use this one.
That's a hockey puck.
It is a hockey puck. Very rare to find in Australia, a CCM hockey puck here at the 5-hole bar. Now, the 5-hole, do you know why it's called the 5-hole bar?
I don't believe you've ever explained that to me, Dave.
Okay, well, we're going to empty all episode. You know what? I'm going to save it for next week's episode. Episode 2, we'll talk about why this is called the 5-hole bar. But it has something to do with hockey pucks. So if you think you know, put it in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll explain it all at the beginning of next episode.
Fantastic.
Until then,
Son of a bitch!
cheers.
Give me a drink.
Looking in the eyes.
Absolutely.
Smells really good, mate.
I like it.
I'm very never thought the Dickel would taste so good.
You had to finish on a dead joke.